revenue. It is a revenue that is calculated. Sometimes is a decrease in potential revenue for our school district. It is one of the requirements that we must calculate. And what it really means is if all of the funds for all of the school districts are in the Imperial County Treasurer's Office. If the Imperial County Treasurer's Office was to liquidate all of their assets, would that be a gain to the school district or would that be a loss to the school district? This year, because of the increase in interest rates, then it translates to a potential increase. But it's nothing that would actually be realized unless the Imperial County Treasurer's Office was to liquidate their assets. And that has never happened and it will probably never happen. But it's a calculation that we need to account for. On the expenditure side of it, you see that we do have a difference, a decrease in expenditures of a little bit over $2 million. The net impact for us is that we did end up better with our ending fund balance. We had projected to be at 19 million, we're at $26 million. That's a really good thing for us. The other impact that you see there is contributions from the general fund. There was a decrease of about $1.1 million or $1,135,000. We had projected a larger contribution from the general fund to the restricted funds, and it came in a little bit better. That's a good thing, right? Many of the savings really stem from salaries and fringe benefits associated with vacancies and extra duty assignments. When we're projecting the budget, we anticipate that these extra duty assignments will be covered, and sometimes they're just not able to, right? But we anticipate that those expenditures will come through. If they don't, it does really help us improve our reserves. So on the next slide, you see the same information. You see the same information, but this is for the restricted accounts. And for the restricted accounts, bottom line, we ended up in a little bit better position, but not by much than we had anticipated at estimated actuals. You see at the bottom there, our improved ending fund balance was $561,000. Really, we were very close as to where we anticipated to be. You see also the contributions there reflected. There was less contributions from general fund to restricted funds. So again, that's a good thing. One of the things that does happen, and you see it there on the revenue portion of it, where it says we received less than $7 million less. What we really did is we recognized $7 million less because we didn't have the expenditures. Some of those revenue streams carry over to the next fiscal year, and so the expenditures that did not happen this fiscal year, we project that will happen in the next fiscal year. So it does increase our ending fund balance, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have more revenue the next year because it's just the revenue that we defer from one year to the next. This in this slide, you see the aggregate amount of the two previous slides that we just presented. Just to highlight here, again, the ending fund balance that we have collectively between the unrestricted and the restricted balance ended up being more favorable at $6 billion than we had anticipated. Again, that's a good thing. Nevertheless, we have to be very, very cautious because we are still deficit spending. Right? We are still deficit spending. We function in an environment, and Mr. Contreras spoke to it a little bit, we function in an environment where there's a structural deficit formula to our funding, right? We, as a school district, have to ensure that we have sufficient staff and sufficient capacity to teach our staff, to teach our students, to house our staff for the enrollment numbers. However, the state of California funds us on average daily attendance. So when we have situations where the students don't show up to school for whatever reason it might be, it really impacts our revenue stream. Okay? We are a school district that probably has a bigger delta than many other school districts between our enrollment numbers and our average daily attendance. So there's a lot of work that are being done by the teachers, by the staff, by administration, by the board, by our community to improve that connectedness of the students and the parents to our school district, and really getting them to understand that it's really not just about revenue, right? It's about the students being here to learn and the students being here in a safe environment.
Mr. De La Torre, if I could just, for the record, just to correct the record here, that 34,000 with the decimal, it's actually 34,484, comma 353. So that decimal should be a comma. So I just wanted to correct that on the record.
Thank you.
That's okay. It's a typo. It's a
Thank
typo.
you. I
but,
appreciate that.
just-
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. In there, what we're stating is that in the components of ending fund balance, $34,484,353 of that balance of $59,000 is restricted funds. Restricted funds come with very specific targeted expenditures, very targeted allowable expenditures by those funders, and we often cannot deviate much from what our plan is. Sometimes we can request to deviate a little bit. So with those restricted funds, those are funds that we cannot use to cover any general fund expenditures. We can't supplant. They're all supplemental in nature. But thank you, Mr. Jimenez. I appreciate that. So that's the position that we are in our unaudited actuals, where we ended up the fiscal year, and the comparison between where we were at estimated actuals. In this presentation and in this report, of course, we also do a revised 25-26 budget. And on this screen here, this is what you are seeing, the comparison of the 25-26 budget, both in restricted and unrestricted, that we brought to you at the end of June, and then the revised numbers there that we're bringing to you today on September 11th. As I mentioned, we did end up with a much better starting balance, but that really was because of a lot of deferred revenue that wasn't recognized in the prior fiscal year because the expenditures were not there in the fiscal year. But we get to carry it over, right? And there's some funding streams that are very large for the school district, and kudos to all of the coordinators and administrators that go out and seek grants for the school district that helps